Welcome to RMY Yoga. We are going to do a class that has a little bit of hips, a little bit of legs, some belly, some back. I am a little bit hungover right now, just like a tiny bit. I actually did a neti pot on both sides of my nose. That helps a ton. And obviously drank a ton of water. Also rinsing my head in cold water. That seemed to help. Mainly because my hair was crazy. So anyway, yeah. So the props that we're going to use today. Hey, look, I remembered. A blanket. We're going to use that right off the bat. And oh shit, all my blocks are currently holding up the camera. And my little Buddha in the corner, which you can't see because it's too dark. So we're just gonna use a blanket today. Maybe have a second one if you want, but we're gonna get started actually using this blanket right off the bat. This is such a wonderful thing. Wonderful little practice. So you take your blanket, you fold it so it's nice and neat, and then you roll it up. You can roll it small roll, big roll. You can take 2 blankets and roll them up. And then what we're going to do is use this in the soft part of our belly. We're going to lay on it and then breathe into the blanket. And it basically gives a really intense massage into your digestion, into your organs, and it's so rejuvenating. It's very rejuvenating. It feels amazing, especially when you come out and you take a moment in child's pose, which is what we're going to do. So I'm going to do this because I really like it and I need it right now. So if you feel like it's too intense, you're welcome to come out, just take a child's pose. Or you can come out and pause the video and adjust your blanket so it's smaller roll. Yeah. So, just laying all the way out. And there's a few different places you can put it. Right above the genitals, and that kind of massages into the pelvic bowl, and right above the hips. You could do it right below the navel. And then you could do it on slightly above the navel. And I like to go for the area that's the most intense for me, but personal preference, so just pick the area you want. I'm going to do slightly below and on the navel. Nice middle ground. And then you stack the hands and place the forehead on the hands. And then as you breathe, you're just breathing down into the blanket. Every exhale, you are allowing the air to go all the way out to really feel the blanket digging in, massaging in. Massaging is a better word for it, huh? Not digging. Every inhale, feel the low back expand as you breathe into the blanket. Every exhale, just allow, relax, release into the blanket. Let's do 5 more breaths. Yeah? And if you haven't already, we'll take the hands under the shoulders, inhale up to hands and knees, and exhale into a child's pose. You can rest your head on the blanket if you like, or move it off to the side. Breathing down into the belly, feeling all the space that we just created. That massaging action of the breath and the blanket chops up blockages that we have in our digestion, blockages that we have in our belly energetically. It opens everything up, moves things around, and then when we come out, we got to continue to breathe to really move that energy around. Okay, removing your blanket if you have not already. With an inhale, hands and knees. With an exhale, child's pose. Inhale to hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose. Let's do 3 more. Navel contracting as you exhale, beginning that movement, that action. Last one. Inhaling to hands and knees, curling the toes, dropping the belly. Exhale, contract the navel, lift the hips up to down dog. Inhale to the knees, drop the belly, knuckles of the toes on the mat. Exhale, round into down dog, contracting the navel. Inhaling to the knees, dropping the belly, cow. Exhale, rounding into down dog, contracting that navel. One more. Strong contraction of the navel. Great. Well, I assume you're doing great. Okay. Now I'd like to break down downward facing dog for a moment. So let's come down to our hands and knees. This is such a powerful pose, and I love it so much. So I really want you all to understand the mechanics of it, the feeling of it, the possibility of it. So you have your hands and your feet. The fingers are spread really wide, pressing into the thumb side of the palms. The heels of the hands are about shoulder width. And the more surface area you can get by spreading your fingers more, the better this will be for your wrists. So we really want lots of surface area. And then, so the foundation are the hands and the feet. That's the most important part. So if your down dog is like this, great. As long as your fingers are spread. There's a tendency for space to come up right here. It's like, does our hands do this almost? And we want to press down into the first knuckle and the knuckle of the thumb. So that's what I mean by rolling towards the thumb side of the palm. Yeah. And so you can start like this, especially if you're a beginner, but we want the hips to be high, as high as you can get them, so the back can be long. We don't want any rounding. If your pose is like this, you need to tilt your hips toward, your sit bones toward the sky, like you're trying to sit up on the ceiling. Lift your belly like this. I guess it's more drawing it down towards the ground, but relative to the body, you're lifting the belly. The shoulders coming into their sockets. And there's also a tendency here, certainly for me, because I'm like hyper flexible with my back, to go into a back bend here, and we do not want that. We want nice flat back, nice neutral spine, you know? Not overarching one way or the other, just neutral. What feels good, what feels normal in the back. And then the arms take the weight. The heels eventually come to the ground as the ankles open and the hamstrings loosen. And then lastly, we have the elbows. You want to roll them down towards one another. So the inner bicep is rolling towards one another and forward. So we got this action where the elbows are almost facing the ground. Yeah. And then once the arms and the legs are doing all the work, the head and neck can relax. And the more the head and the neck relax, the more the weight of the head pulls down on the spine. And I've done this pose when, well, I guess maybe I can't talk about that on my channel, but I've done this pose for like 8 minutes maybe, and when you get into it and you really relax, when you feel really solid in your foundation and you can actually relax into it, the vertebrae are just going like doop, 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 all just opening up, and that's what we're going for that awesome relaxation. So yeah, so there's down dog. And let's kind of move on, because you may have been in the pose for a little while. I've been in the pose for a little too long. So let's come forward. Inhale to lift halfway. Taking hands to the sit bones, shoulders back. Exhale, folding forward, sliding the hands down the backs of the legs. Inhaling all the way up. Sweeping the arms out. Hands to heart center. Yeah. Okay. Let's turn. I'm going to do this side first so that I can, well, I guess I'll do this side first so I can look towards the camera. So let's take the right foot back, turning the toes out. Just setting up the foundation first. Heels in a line. The toes are spread. Really feel how spread they are. The more, it's like your fingers, more surface area, the better. And also the more contact with the ground, the better. The more grounding it will be. This is where a lot of meridians come. It's where a lot of energy flows into, through the hands, through the feet. So having this spread, it's like opening up these channels. Yeah. And so when I say spread the balls of the feet, we're literally spreading right here. Oh, my feet aren't gross. Look at that. Good. You're spreading along this. Yeah. And that opens up those energy channels. So anyway, the heels are in a line. Let's take the hands to the hips first. And hands to heart center, actually. Yeah, that's better. With an inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center, bend the front knee. Okay, so this back hip, we want it coming forward just a little bit, rolling forward. So that this thigh is rolling towards the mat. Like we're turning our whole hips to face forward, but only about halfway. That way the head of the femur can go right into that hip socket, and we want strength and stability in the warrior poses. The warrior poses are about being a warrior, and warriors have power and strength. So that's what we want in these poses. We want to energize with our stability. We don't want to just open and let everything, okay. So, and notice how deep you want your pose to be. Front knee will come all the way over the heel. Don't be so far out that you feel unstable. Like I said, this pose is about power, strength, stability. So, here we go, hands to heart center. With an inhale, straighten the front knee, sweep the arms out and up. Lifting the gaze even, and then exhaling into the pose. Hands to heart center, bending the knee. Yeah, and again, inhale. Lifting the gaze. And exhale, bend the knee. Let's do 3 more. Gaze lifts on the inhale. Navel contracts on the exhale. Pelvic floor lifts on the exhale. 2 more. Soft pelvic floor, soft belly. Gaze lifts. Exhale. Pelvic floor up. Navel up. 1 more. Now we're going to hold the pose. Let's take the arms out. Oot. If you're in Canada, wait, okay. I was going to do a Canadian accent, but it just kind of started to go Irish, so not going to do that. Breathing here, nice and full breaths. Soft belly on the inhale. Exhale. Navel contracts, pelvic floor lifts. That lift of the pelvic floor and that navel contraction with every exhale, very important. It draws everything back in here because this is a very open hips kind of pose. If we want to go out, 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 especially if our feet are slipping or if our pose is too wide. So on the exhale, the navel lifts, the pelvic floor lifts. 1 more breath. Great. Hands to the hips. Inhale, straighten the front knee. Exhale, folding to the left. So this left hand is pressing the hip back and down. And we're just folding to the side here, opening up the right side of the body. 2 triangle. Let's take the hand to the shin. Breathing here. Right hand rolls the right hip down. So we're closing off towards the earth. Inner arches pressing down into the mat. Back of the back foot also pressing into the mat. So we've got this nice firm contact with the mat with our feet. And if you're ready, you can take the right arm up. And I think let's make this pose dynamic. So, let's take the right arm up overhead, left arm reaching towards the back knee. Yeah, well, knife edge of the left hand into the thigh. So this is going to be one part of the pose, okay? This is the inhale. This is the exhale. And then when you're ready, inhaling, bending the front knee, switching the arms. Left arm behind, right arm behind the back, left arm sweeps up and reaches up. Not bending open, we're reaching up. With the inhale, the belly is soft and full here. And exhale, straighten the front knee, switching the arms. Inhale. And exhale. Navel contracts in the exhale. Bending the knee on the inhale. And navel contracting on the exhale. Last time. And then releasing both hands to the mat, stepping that back foot a little hop forward. Hugging the inner thighs towards one another. Yeah. And let's actually take that back knee down to the mat. Okay, yeah. Hands to the hips or the knee. We're in need of a twist, but not quite yet. So let's inhale, sweep the arms forward and up. Lifting the collarbones, lifting the heart. Exhale, straighten the front knee, bring the hands to the mat. Flex the foot. Fold. Inhale, bend the front knee, planting the foot, sweeping the arms up, lifting the collarbones. And exhale, hands to the mat, straighten the knee. Navel contracts. And again, inhale. Collarbones lift. And exhale, navel contracts as you fold over the straight leg. 2 more. Collarbones. And navel. Last one. Yeah, okay. Now let's lift that back foot back up, lift the back knee. Okay. Adjust your pants if needed. Take the right hand on top of the foot, or just on the mat, that's fine too. Or a block if you have a block. Like I said, all my blocks are currently in use. I will make sure I have one next time, because I kind of like having blocks. But I like the hand on the foot, that's kind of a nice connection. So let's inhale, sweep the left arm forward, and exhale, twisting into the pose. Now let's breathe here. Actually, let's take the left hand to the sacrum. Right hip lifts, left hip pulls back. Pressing down into the back foot. You can even use the back foot as a lever to push and roll open the left shoulder. And then breathing here. Notice where the breath wants to go. And as you breathe, feel it filling up around the spine, especially between the shoulder blades and the belly. And then on your exhale, navel contracts towards the spine. Don't forget that leverage with the back foot pressing down. Navel contracts on the exhale. One more breath. And inhale to sweep the arm up and forward and down. And great. Okay, let's take a moment here. Sitting on the heels. You can use a block between the ankles if you need. And just noticing the eyes closed, the difference between the sides. Does one side feel more open? Does one side definitely need a twist? I'm feeling quite imbalanced. Unbalanced. Yeah, I'm feeling quite unbalanced right now because of all that we just did. Although I'll let you know that I don't feel hungover right now. Like I said at the start of class, my headache is pretty much gone. My belly is like, oh, you were drinking last night? I don't even notice. My belly's not like that, actually. It doesn't talk to me. Well, intuitively, maybe it does. That's a different subject for a different day, perhaps. And just notice while we sit here where the breath wants to go. And give it a little bit of guidance down into the belly. So let's take a moment here really to notice if there's any places along the front of the body that feel tight and constricted. Maybe your heart, there's a bit of heaviness, there's a knot there. Maybe your belly. Let's see, for me, it's like right here. Right above the solar plexus. And a little bit in, but it's the front, not the back. It's like inside. So when you feel those knots, those constrictions in the breath, like you can breathe more into that space, but you also can't. It feels very, very tight and not tense, just like there's a knot in that spot. There's a knot in that spot. My favorite part of yoga classes is accidental rhymes. Yes, that is my favorite. Okay, anyway, moving on. This is going to be like a 3-hour yoga class if I keep going off onto these tangents. Yeah, so notice that knot and then breathe into that area. You may be one of those people that's like, well, what do you mean breathe into that area? So here's an example. You could take your hand and put it where you want to breathe. And then imagine and feel, really feel, and don't just imagine, but just feel that as you breathe, the majority of the air in the lungs is going to that hand. Like you're directing all the air. I mean, it's filling into the lungs, yes, but it's directing toward that area that is tight. It's much easier to figure out how to breathe into something when you use the hand because you can really feel physically. A lot of times it can be hard to get the awareness of feeling where your breath is going. So using a physical thing like hand placement, it's a beautiful prop, a beautiful tool. Okay, let's move on to the other side because I want to get into some hamstring stretches before we finish and maybe a little bit more into the hips. We'll see. I'd love to get into a splits practice with y'all, but I think that for the general populace, I'm not going to do splits right off the bat. We might get into practice that is specifically devoted to splits later on down the road. For now, though, let's come back to standing. Excuse me, at the top of the mat. And boom. Sorry, I'm staring at my. Anyway, I'll just edit that. Hands to heart center. Yeah. And I'm going to go to this side so that I can still face you when I do the opposite side. Okay. So don't be confused. I'll still say the right side, the correct side. Now, stepping the left foot back, planting, setting up the distance that you want between your feet. The heels are in a line here. And then the hands come to heart center to begin. With an inhale. Oh, right, wait, before we begin. Left hip forward, rolling the inner thigh, the top, the front of the thigh, down and towards the mat, towards the front of the mat. Yeah, so we have that connection. It also creates some nice connection here. I really thought of that. So we have the head of the femur going really nicely into the little tiny nub that is the hip socket. Okay, hands to heart center. With an inhale, sweeping the arms out and up. Gaze lifts, collarbones lift. And exhale into the pose, hands to heart center. Navel, back, pelvic floor lifts. And again, inhale, pelvic floor soft, gaze lifts, collarbones lift. Exhale, hands to heart center. Bend the knee, pelvic floor lifts, navel back. Inhale. And exhale, pelvic floor lifts. Inhale. Soft belly, exhale, navel back, hands to heart center. 2 more. Pelvic floor lifts. Last time. Collarbones lift. Very nice. Let's take the arms out now. Noticing that the knee's over the ankle. Pressing into the knife edge of the back foot. Inner thighs ever so slightly towards one another. Pelvic floor lifts on the exhales. One more breath. And hands to the hips. Inhale, straighten the front knee. Exhale to the right. Right hand pushing back that hip. Micro bend in the right knee. Taking the hand to the shin. Or if you have the openness in the side, you can take it all the way to the mat, or to a block, or to the foot, ankle. There's all these options. Just where feels good. Right now for me, I'm feeling shin. Now as you breathe here, using the left hand to roll that hip down towards the mat. And notice how when you do that, you can feel it all the way along the inside of the leg, the back leg. The heel wants to turn out more when you do that. And that's fine if it does a little bit. It gives a little bit more gripping on the mat. Okay, now we're going to do that dynamic movement. So let's take the left arm up and forward, reaching it forward, and then the knife edge of the right hand comes to the back thigh. Yeah. And then when you inhale, you bend the front knee, windmill the arms. Left hand goes behind you to the right hip. And then exhale, navel contracts, straighten the knee, windmilling the arms back. Inhale, bend the knee. And exhaling, navel contracts, windmilling the arms back. Let's do 2 more. 3 more. Using the windmill to churn your grain. Last one. And navel contracts on the exhale. And then release the hands to the mat. Woo! Hop that back foot a little forward. And then drop the knee. Right. Hands to the knee. Lifting up. Back knee and front heel moving towards one another. That creates more stability in the hips, sacrum, legs area. Now with an inhale, sweeping the arms forward and up, lifting the collarbones. Exhale, straighten the front knee, flex the foot, fold over the leg, hands to the mat. Tucking the chin. Inhaling, bending the knee, lifting the arms. And exhaling, navel contracts as you fold over the leg. Inhaling. And exhaling, navel contracts, pelvic floor lifts. 2 more. Woo. And lifting that back knee back up. Adjusting your pants. That is the new pose, adjust your pants asana. Okay, left hand is going to come to the ground or foot if you did so on the other side, or block if you did so on the other side. With an inhale, sweeping that arm forward, right arm. Exhaling, twisting, and then take the hand to the sacrum. Each time I've done this twist, I've been looking away from you. My apologies. Well, not really, it's just part of the pose, part of the class. So lifting the left hip, pulling the right hip back. Pressing down into the back foot to leverage into the twist a little bit more, allowing the right shoulder to open, the chest to open, the left shoulder to move to the right. Breathing here into the belly. Noticing how the breath moves through the spine, filling up the space between the shoulder blades, all the way down to the belly. Keep that leverage, pressing into the back foot. One more breath. With the right hand, inhale to sweep it up, forward, and exhale down. Wow. And coming back to another seat on the heels. Now checking in once again to how you're feeling. I am feeling wobbly. Are you? Wavy. Maybe wavy is the better word. Yeah, I'm feeling very wavy. And no, I'm not on drugs. I'm just wavy. Or maybe yoga's a drug and I'm addicted. But don't worry, I'm not a pusher. I'm a friendly yoga dealer. If you want to do it, great. If not, well, oh well. Noticing again the state of the front body. How does it feel? Do you have anywhere that feels closed and constricted? I'd like to move into some back bends. I think we're going to start. Yes, I know where we're going. We're going to start on our back, so moving to the back. And let's start with the feet really wide. We'll do a few different forms of bridge. So the feet are wide, the knees are over the heels. Oh man. Coffee, and I am in need of coffee. Although this is very awakening. Waking up. Anyway. So with an inhale, we'll lift the hips. And then roll the shoulders under. Interlacing the fingers. The chest lifts towards the chin, and then the chin moves away from the chest. So there's a nice curve in the back of the neck. Not really extreme, just enough so that it's comfortable. Remember, this is a practice of comfort. This is not a mess yourself up by going so intense so far. And now as you breathe, inhale first into the belly and then the heart. And then just exhale all the air out with a little navel contraction. So we're doing this nice circular breathing. Inhaling belly, mid, heart, collarbones, and then exhaling all the air out, navel contracting. 2 more breaths. And release when you're ready. Oh, man, that is wonderful, huh? I love back bends, really do. Okay, now let's bring the feet together and the knees together. And we're going to go up again, but you're going to notice that you can't go quite as high with the legs completely together. That's fine. We're just going to focus on keeping the legs together, squeezing them in towards one another, and keeping the hips and chest as high as we can. No need to push too much. And when you're ready, inhale to lift, rolling shoulders under, interlacing fingers, and then we're doing the same breath pattern. Remember, chest towards chin, chin away from chest. Breathing into the belly, to the collarbones. Navel contracts. Belly to collarbones. And navel contracts. 3 more breaths like this. Last breath. Belly to collarbones. And release. Okay. Now don't pull the knees into the chest. We will hold off and we'll get to that. We'll get to balancing the back bends with the forward fold. Wow. Okay, let's come up and forward and lay onto the belly. No. Hold on. I'm just enjoying this. The feeling of after back bend is especially a really healthy back bend with the breath. It is wonderful. But this YouTube channel is not here for you to just watch me get high on yoga. No, it's here for you to get high on yoga. So let's just roll over onto the belly. Yeah. And we're going to do one more back bend. So we're basically doing the same thing that we just did, but now we're flipped over. So we're going to bend the knees and grab the ankles. Now, see, this is basically the same form as bridge, because if you look, this is what we were doing. Yeah. But now, there's just a different point of contact with the ground, different energy to the pose. So, with an inhale, kick the feet into the hands to lift the belly. Now, imagine you're in bridge, so lift the chin a little bit away from the chest and move the collarbones towards the chin. Very subtle movement, okay? And we'll do that same breath, so inhaling belly to collarbones, rolling the breath up the body. Like a wave. Navel contracts on the exhale. Just 2 more breaths. Kicking the feet into the hands to keep you lifted. Keeping the legs active. 1 more breath, belly to collarbones. Navel contracts and lower. Now we're going to do a favorite pose of mine. And we're working towards, with this pose, so here, I'll describe it first. So left hand, left forearm is parallel with the front of the mat. And then we bend the right leg, grab the foot, and we're going for turning the fingers forward so the heel of the hand is on the toes. The shoulder pulls back, both shoulders pull back, and then you press down very softly into the foot and kick the foot into the hand. And this activates the thigh, quadriceps, hip flexor. Really creates a nice subtle opening in the front of the hips. Breathing into the belly. 1 more breath. Go ahead and release. Oh, yeah, okay. Going to the other side, right forearm, parallel with the top of the mat. Bending the knee, reaching back for the foot. And turning the fingers forward. If your fingers are out to the side, that's fine. You really get the same effect, more or less. More or less. And then kicking the foot softly into the hand. And pressing down softly, hand toward foot. Shoulders toward one another. And away from the ears. Yeah, so don't be all scrunched up. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. And breathing down into the belly. And the space right above the sacrum. One more breath. And then release. Now we do that pose, those two poses, to eventually get to, some say this is a version of frog. I've also heard frog be called other things. So doing both sides now with an inhale. Now only attempt this if you want, if you have the flexibility, but it can be pretty intense. So just know where you are, know your limit, as usual. And now with an inhale, whoop, I lost my feet. I lost them, gotta go find them. With an inhale, lifting, soft pressure down, and soft kick into the hands. Breathing into the belly. Elbows toward one another. And release. Oh yeah, okay. Now it is time to come up. And let's take a moment. Seated. Now I think we are probably all out of our time. So this is going to be, yeah, this is going to be an hour and a half class. Look at that. Wow. Because we're going to have a lovely little Yoga Nidra at the end. Just something kind of not too deep. Shallow Yoga Nidra, if there was such a thing. And so you can look forward to that at the end of the video. Now just checking in once again. And then when you're ready, taking the legs out long in front. Now if you have any slouching, any hunching, just sit up on your blanket or 2 blankets or 3 blankets or your block. And let's take, actually we're going to do this, yeah, for our twist. So let's take the feet wide. Make sure you have enough space around you because we're going to be swinging about. That's the benefit of doing yoga online. You don't have to worry about smacking your classmates. So, yeah, palms are facing down, the arms are out. The balls of the feet are spread, toes are spread. With an inhale, growing long in the spine, lifting the collarbones. Exhaling to twist to the left or right. Inhaling to center, exhaling left or right. Inhaling to center, exhaling. And we're just going back and forth. Reaching for the foot when you exhale and twist. Gazing at the back hand when you exhale and twist. One more each side. And coming back to center. Yeah. Now let's come to a little squat. And you know what? We're not going to do this because... Yeah, okay, we'll just do it. Whatever. Coming to a squat. If you're up on your toes, that's fine. It's just more balance for you. I'll do it on my toes because I don't generally do it on my toes. So, hands at heart center. Knees hugging in towards elbows. Elbows pressing out towards knees. Inhaling to lift the collarbones. Lift the gaze toward the third eye. And then exhale, round the spine, knees in towards elbows. navel contracts, chin tucked. Inhale, hands back to the heart. Lift the collarbones and the gaze towards the third eye. And exhale. Inhale, hands towards the chest. And exhale. So we're using the knees to squeeze the arms towards one another, and that opens up space between the shoulder blades, especially when we're pressing with the hands forward, yeah? Inhaling and exhaling. That was much harder to do with the heels lifted. So if you do have your heels lifted, maybe sit on a block instead. One more time. Great. And then coming back down to a seat. Legs out long, hands back behind you, fingers either turned out or back. And resting for a moment. Okay, now we've got a few hamstring stretches, leg stretches ahead of us. It's like my favorite part of class. Let's take the right heel in towards the groin, the upper thigh. And we're starting with a nice L shape here, nice 90 degrees, right angle. Could be a little bit more in or a little bit more out, but we'll start here and then we'll take the knee a little further back, and that'll give a little bit more opening in the side back, okay? So if you have a strap, you're welcome to use it, but it's not exactly necessary. I kind of just like the fingers on the ground so that you can be pulling the chest through the arms, and that keeps a nice long spine. So take your breath to set up. With an inhale, tall spine up. And exhale, walking the fingers forward. Yeah. Let's go to about 50%. And keep the spine long here. We want to be reaching with our collarbones, back of the head, top of the head, front of the head. Everything of the upper body is moving up that way. Yeah. Keeping that length in the spine protects the back as well as gets more benefit from this pose. Because the point is not to open up the back space of the vertebrae. The point is to create extension and then release. Create extension, release, create extension, release. That's kind of how we're getting into these forward folds. So when you see people that are way into the fold, they are reaching and folding, reaching and folding. So at 50%, just breathe here. And every time you inhale, just feel your vertebrae, feel your body, your back, front body. Notice if the front of the body is crunching and closing, and then open it up with the inhale, breathing through the front of the body to create expansion. And then exhaling, keeping that expansiveness and folding. We want to keep the expansiveness of the front body. If you round, you lose the expansiveness. So inhaling to open the front body and exhaling to fold. I almost said to round. We don't want that. Now let's take 3 more breaths. When you're ready, inhaling to come up. Okay, now taking this knee and sliding it back a little bit to open up. So now we've got an obtuse angle here with the legs, yeah? And this is a little harder. So you're going to want to turn as much as you can over that front leg. Maybe you need to ease up on the obtuse angle, so it's just like a 95-degree angle instead of 100, 100 angle instead of 110, whatever. 175 instead of 180. Geometry joke, I guess. Turning towards that leg, inhaling to lift the arms this time, and exhaling, folding forward, reaching out through the arms, reaching out the top of the head. Yeah? And then you can take your hands to the mat, and then wherever you are, just breathing. If you can grasp the foot, please do so. Remembering to inhale, create expansiveness in the front body, and exhale to fold. Inhale that expansiveness along the front body, and exhale to fold. And just continue this with a little bit of that movement, coming out a little bit as you expand the front body, and going down a little bit as you fold. And even if you get all the way to the leg like I do, you can still get that expansiveness in the front body. You just are inhaling and exhaling. That's really all it is, just directing the breath. The inside of the forward leg rolling towards the mat, the knees softly, subtly moving towards one another. This helps stabilize and ground the pose. One more breath. And when you're ready, inhaling up. Let's do the other side. Yeah. Starting with that 90-degree of the legs, okay? And you might notice every now and then I'm like adjusting my seat. I'm moving my sit bones so that they're a little wider and a little bit further back, so there's a lot of length from the heel up the leg to the sit bone. So when the sit bone moves back, it basically creates space in the back of the leg, creates space back here. Instead of it being forward, it just feels like they're moving like this, and we move them back. So the sit bones are like that. Yeah. Now, fingertips to the mat. Inhale to press the heart forward, collarbones lift, expanding the front body. Exhale, walking the fingers forward. About 50 degrees, 50%. The left ribs, the left waist is rolling towards the right leg. That helps you keep facing the leg. We want evenness of the front body. Now inhaling to expand the front body, opening, and exhaling to fold a little bit more. Let's take 3 more breaths. Internal rotation of the outstretched leg. And inhale to come up. Now, opening the angle of the legs a little bit. Okay. There's all this little adjustment that might need to happen in your body. It usually happens in mine. So, inhaling, arms up, turning towards the leg. Exhaling to fold, reaching out the arms out the top of the head. And then bringing the hands down, grasping the foot if you can. And as you breathe, inhaling, your inhales expand the front body. And your exhales release into the fold. Thighs towards one another, just subtly. Just enough so that it stabilizes the pose. Inhaling again for expansion. And exhaling. Going to where you did on the other side. Although there may be asymmetries, you may be asymmetric. Just noticing all this without any judgment. That is also the practice of yoga. Noticing without judgment. One more breath. And when you're ready, inhaling to come up. Yeah. Take the leg back forward. And we'll just take a moment with the legs outstretched, arms, palms back, eyes closed, and breathing. Noticing again if there are any places of constriction along the front body, the heart, or the belly, or the throat. Maybe even the forehead and the brow. Maybe you're always tensing up your forehead. Ooh, yeah. I was just doing that. It feels kind of weird. I don't do it very much. All right. Let's lay down. Yeah. And bring the knees into the chest. And just notice the state of the spine, how it feels. How awake your back is. How awake your front is. And let's take the arms up overhead and stretch the legs up towards the sky. Now, this pose I taught in one of my other classes, but I was looking at the footage and I realized that I was saying 90 degrees was like, here, this is not really 90 degrees. I mean, it kind of looks like it from my point of view, but from your point of view, from the point of view that can tell angles, this is more like 90 degrees. Yeah. So, keep in mind that what you feel in your body may not be what it actually looks like. So with this pose specifically, here, let's take the legs down. You may need to be a little lower with your legs. I know, this is something else. So, this is our core work. We're going to do 3 rounds. I usually only do 1 or 2 because I'm lazy, but let's not be lazy, okay? So, the key of this pose is pressing the navel down and the low back into the mat, keeping that low back connected to the mat so that the front body is doing all the work. The core is doing so much of the work, yeah? The more you press your low back into the mat, the more powerful this will be and the more you will get from this pose. I was doing this for a little while with my back lifted, and my back was doing work as well as my front. My back was doing more work, and so I started to kind of hurt myself. So, on top of getting benefit, pressing the low back down keeps your back from getting hurt because your core is doing the work and not your back. Okay, so when you're ready, big toes together. I like to touch the tips of the sides of my index fingers as well. Get this nice zipped up body. Okay, and with your exhale, lift the feet 30 degrees. About 1.5 feet off the mat. Yep, that looked like 30. Breathing. And another third of the way up. Remembering that low back into the mat. Breathing. And another all the way to 90 degrees. Yeah, okay. Still, the low back presses down, so the core is still active here, but it's a little bit more restful, spreading the toes, spreading the balls of the feet. Like the center of the balls of the feet are pressing towards the sky, the sides of the balls of the feet are pressing out to the sides. With your next exhale, we'll slowly bring the legs down. Keeping that back connected and relax. Now, I know how exercising your core can always be kind of unpleasant. I used to not really enjoy it. But the core, as the name implies, is the center. By working on our core with simple poses like this, not going way all out, I mean, do what you want, do what you like, do what makes you happy. But using this pose at the end of class, we've done a lot of openings, so this is very recentering, reconnecting, pulling everything back, restabilizing. So we're ready for round 2, right? Zipping up the body from the big toes to the tips of the index finger. With an exhale, press the low back down, lift the legs third of the way up. And breathe. Another third. Remembering to breathe. Low back staying in contact with the mat. "90 degrees. Still, navel active. Subtly paying attention to the subtle sensations from the fronts of the arms to the fronts of the legs to the core, the chest, all along the front of the body. We have this connective feeling, just being like this. With your next exhale, slowly lower. And rest. We got one more round, and then we're probably going to take Shavasana with Yoga Nidra. And just notice here how the belly feels, how the breath moves in the front of the body. Ready for the final round. From the big toes to the index fingers, zipping up the body. With your exhale, lift the legs a third of the way. Breathing here. Low back pressing into the mat. And another third. And one more third. Spreading the balls of the feet. Core is active. And now let's bring the arms up overhead, hands over the shoulders. With your next exhale, bend the knees into the chest, grasping the legs, hugging in. Breathing into the belly. And when you're ready, taking the legs out long, arms to the sides, palms face up, for Shavasana. Okay, now for Shavasana, let's just begin with 3 exhales in through the nose, exhale out the mouth. And we're making a sound like you're fogging up a mirror. Nice, smooth, slow breath out. Releasing what we don't need through the exhale one more time. Sealing the lips. And bringing your attention to the tip of the nose. And as you breathe, just feel the air at the nostrils. Inhale, cool air comes in. Exhale, warm air goes out. Feeling the subtleness of the breath. Feeling the breeze in the nose. Cool in, warm out. And now follow the breath a little deeper to the back of the throat. From the very back of the roof of the mouth, all the way down to where the air actually goes into the tubes of the throat. Feeling the cool air in. Warm air out. Now go into the tubes, following the breath deeper. From the top of the throat to the bottom of the throat, before the air branches into the bronchial tubes, before the air actually reaches the lungs. Feeling cool air moving down the throat, warm air moving up and out. Now taking the breath deeper into the two bronchial tubes, and maybe even a little bit into the top portion of the lungs. Feeling cool air filling the collarbones, filling the upper back and the tubes of the lungs. Notice especially the space right below the back of the neck. Notice how it is affected very subtly by the inhale and the exhale. Now let's move a little deeper into the lungs, feeling the breath in the ribs, in the shoulder blades, and the mid upper back. Noticing how the expansion that the lungs create in the internal body has an effect on all the ribs, all the muscles, all the vertebrae of the spine. Creates a wave-like motion. Now we'll follow that wave even deeper to the very base of the lobes of the lungs. Into the belly, the low back, the sides of the waist, pelvis and pelvic floor. Notice the wave of breath as you inhale. So all the little movement happens. And the wave of breath out as you exhale. And now, follow the breath back up. All the way out from the lobes to the tubes, to the throat, mouth and nose. And now notice the whole process, from the nostrils to the pelvic floor. Breath flows all the way in with a wave and all the way out, like the tide Now bring your awareness to the tips of your fingers. Imagining points of light like tiny stars on each fingertip. Now the knuckles of the fingers, each joint has its own star. The palm has a star. Both wrists. Both elbows. Both shoulders. Stars. The base of the throat. The center of the chest, inside the body. Maybe about where the heart is. And that has its own star. Notice how when you breathe, the star grows a little brighter in the inhale. And the light diffuses through the body with the exhale, filling you, filling your chest. The navel has a star. Same thing, when you breathe in, the light of the star at the navel brightens. And when you breathe out, it diffuses, filling the belly with light. Now the soles of the feet. Each toe. The ankles. Knees. Hips. The top of the sacrum. Noticing all the stars of the legs, all the stars of the arms. Feel the constellation of you glowing. Feel the whole body. As you breathe in, all of the stars become more and more radiant. And as you breathe out, the light diffuses through the body, filling you. Now moving to the brain, the left lobe, the right lobe, the center, back of the head, forehead, top of the head. All having their own lights, their own stars. But focus on the star at the center of the brain. And notice as you breathe in, picturing a stream of golden light coming in through the nostrils and in through the top of the head to illuminate the brain. Bringing your mind back to the body, the breath, and the belly. Feeling yourself lying on the floor. And as you inhale, deepening the breath into the belly. Beginning to move the body. And when you're ready, rolling to one side, take your time. But when you're ready, we'll come back up to a seat. Bringing the hands to heart center when you arrive. Let's rub the palms. Create some friction, some heat. And cover the eyes. Feel how the eyes are protected here. Feel how they soften and deepen. And then taking your hands, rubbing them over the top of the head, down the back of the neck, down the front of the body, down the legs, all the way to the feet, and give your feet a little rub along the arch with the thumb. It's just a nice way to ground after that Yoga Nidra practice. And hands back to heart center. Thanks for practicing with me today. Namaste. That's my jingle, apparently. So if you liked this class, please subscribe. We'll have all sorts of different levels, all sorts of different lengths. This is definitely on the longer side. This is one of the longest classes I will offer. If we go into a deeper Yoga Nidra practice, then I might have a longer class, or we might actually have a little bit of pranayama or meditation in some of these classes. So there's that to look forward to. I still have this idea in my head that I want to break down different poses. So if you have any specific poses that you want to see, please let me know. Because when I do these classes, I do a lot of the poses and breaking them down and cueing and teaching while we're in the practice, but it would be nice to have a resource for you to go to on my channel where you can see the way that I teach the poses specifically, and where we can have a little bit of prep for the poses, a little bit of whatever for the poses. Of course, there are always plenty of other yoga teachers out there on YouTube. If this does not fit your style, I hope that you stayed for the whole class. Well, obviously, if you're watching right now, you stayed for the whole class, but I hope that you know that there are so many styles out there. So if my style does not suit you, then, well, go somewhere else. I'm not telling you to. I'm just saying you can. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like this video. Please subscribe. And look forward to more. Share with your friends. Thanks for watching.